Good everyone, welcome to this video today. It's a review on the Chinese Ki-45 Hey/Tay. And I know some people are going to be looking forward to this review because they're going to be like, Joe's going to say it's shit, it's not worth your time, easy peasy, only have to watch 30 seconds of the video, leave a comment saying it's shit or something like that, I don't know, and then they can move on with their day, which to be honest, I would not blame you if you did that. But here's where you're wrong. This thing's actually rather good. Now, those of you that view Hairy Feet's channel will go, wait a minute. You made him fly it and he had 100 plus ping, or sorry, 200 plus ping in some situations. He had to use his entire ammo load to kill two Bettys, and you're saying this thing is actually good? Yes. Yes, I am. Now, the price of this aircraft is a little steep, in my personal opinion. At 1150 GE, it is certainly not an aircraft that I would recommend purchasing for Rank 2, because all you have to do to get a arguably better vehicle for the job is pay 150 more Golden Eagles and you get the Chinese Zero. Alternatively, you can even go one step further and purchase the H81 pack, which will benefit you a bit more. Although I personally don't recommend that because the H81 is a bit underpowered. At least for the Ki-45, it has its redeeming features. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably saying, Joe's gone mad, this coronavirus lockdown has made him go insane. He's saying a Chinese Ki-45 is actually a decent bird. And, well, it's got its flaws, as I'm going to point out. So, obviously, the 37mm only comes with 15 rounds, and it sparks. I'm going to be brutally honest, it even sparks on my ping, and I get 30 to 50 ping on most games. And the 20mm Ho 3 isn't much better for that. So the sparking may be an issue. So if you don't like it, again, well, it mostly sparks against fighters, surprisingly. I have gotten fighter kills, but it involved me using the 37. And obviously, I mentioned the Shraj Musique in the first flight. How many kills have I gotten with it exactly, might you think? Two. I've got two kills with the Shraj. One on a Ki-49 and one on a Betty, similar to what Hairy Feet had to do. Now, Hairy Feet said that the aircraft wallowed like a whale. I disagree, although at lower speeds you can feel a difference compared to other Ki-45s. The rear gunner is actually surprisingly effective against Japanese aircraft, as you saw in the first flight, and you obviously saw in, well, you obviously will see in this review, at least I think you will, because I had two battles intended for this, but then I thought I'll go with the one that was a bit more daredevil, shall we say. I was going to show the original one where it was a flight of four of us, but I thought this battle that I'm going to show you was a bit better. So in terms of belts, there isn't really much to really say here. Just find something that works for you. The 37mm, obviously, pure HE. Not you can do anything to change that. My recommended belt for the back gunner is actually APT. You'll be finding a lot of Japanese aircraft, I've noticed. Japanese aircraft have been getting a lot more popular when I've flown this thing. And they're actually surprisingly flammable, as we already know, but the APT is surprisingly good at setting fires to Japanese aircraft. I've gotten more than a couple of kills with the back gunner doing that method. The Ho 3, which is this cannon, as far as I know, I set this for universal. Personally, I'm actually going to recommend ground targets because the sparking on this gun was actually rather ridiculous. Although universal was handy in some situations, so it's a toss between these two belts. However, if you don't want to have any sparking at all, here's your choice. But at the same time, if you're fighting something like a Zero, it's just going to go straight through it and not do any damage. At least with ground targets, you've got a HE round so you can deal with those. As for the Shrag, you've got two 20mm Ho 5s. These are actually pretty effective, but at the same time, you're going to have to be careful with them. Let's just say that. In fact, no, I've just realized because of the default belts, this is the Shrag, this is the Ho 3. Sorry about that. The Ho 3 has a different belt set up to the Ho 5, so it's a bit different. But either way, using both is how I seem to get most of my kills, and obviously the 37 helped with that. Finally, flight performance. How does this aircraft handle? Well, it can actually climb pretty decently because it gets an air spawn. It turns rather well for a twin-engine fighter. Just bear in mind you won't be anything Japanese unless it's another Ki-45, and even then, if it's a Ko, it will outturn you. If it's a Ki-102, you'll outturn it, but he's got a 50 cal. And I wouldn't advise turn fighting unless it is absolutely necessary. The main factor here is boom and zoom, and this aircraft has the capability of doing that. In terms of overall results, because obviously I don't intend to fly the Sing till we next have to fly, obviously in the premium series, but 20 games, 55% win rate. Chinese teams, they were hit and miss. 5 deaths, most of which were from enemy fighters, because obviously they were more maneuverable than me, they were able to keep up in a dive, etc. 29 air kills, 23 ground targets destroyed, and 4 landing craft. Again, this is not a premium where you're going to be racking up kills left, right, and center. This is a vehicle that is more laid back. And as I said at the start of this review, if you're going to go with the Ki-45 or the A6M2, go with the Zero. The Zero is better for pretty much everything. Although, personally, this thing does its job as an interceptor actually rather well. So, if you want a decent interceptor to deal with bombers and then obviously get back to base after getting a couple of kills, the Ki-45 is going to work. But if you want a more up close and personal sort of fighter, the Chinese Zero will do you better. So, let's get into the replay and I can show you exactly what I mean by this aircraft actually being useful. I think Hairy Feet was a bit harsh on this plane. I mean, yes, it does have its problems, and you're going to see that even on my ping, which in this battle was 56 to about 70 ping. The guns even sparked then. It does have that problem. But to be honest, this aircraft is not as bad as Hairy makes it out to be. So, yeah, it's pretty good. Although, it is limited when you've got a crap team. This aircraft can't carry to save its life. This thing could never carry a game. Unless it was an enemy team full of bombers, and even then the maximum is 4. So, just see what suits your purpose and then take it from there. Because at the end of the day, it is personal preference, and I do not advise this aircraft to someone who prefers more dogfight sort of aircraft. But if you're doing something like this and intercepting enemy bombers, this thing's got you covered, and it's actually pretty good at taking out bombers. It's certainly got the guns for it. This is not a shroud kill before anyone goes jumping for joy. I was actually going to save a shroud kill, but you can see the gun, well, the 37 was doing the job, but the 20mm was sparking there if you look very carefully. If you're not sure, go back and look, because you will see sparking on the 20mm. As I said, it is not the most useful thing, the 20mm Ho 3, because back in the day that cannon was an absolute nuke. It was really effective. So at this point, a D5 Stuka without pods, he didn't bring any bombs or anything, he just came as a normal D5 with no pods. He's actually trying to fight, and obviously this Jap is coming in now, and thanks to Hairy Feet coming over to give me a hand here. And I'm saying to him, yeah, you might want to watch that Stuka, because, well, it's going to rip you apart. And we thought it had pods, it didn't have pods, we just didn't know. And, well, Hairy Feet just took him out there. Like I say, this aircraft is not really advised against something like... Well, it's not really advised against enemy aircraft in general, because, well, the only enemy aircraft you could safely engage are bombers and some twin-engined enemy aircraft. Like, the BF-110s are easy pickings, surprisingly. This thing can outturn every 110, and the 110 pilots don't expect it. And obviously, because you get an air spawn, it's rather helpful. Now, I do have, obviously, as I mentioned, I do have a keyboard bind set for the 20mm Ho-5s, and I am actually going to get used to the Ho-5s a little bit, because, well, you can actually use them in a turn fight to some degree, just not as effective as you might think. So obviously, this A6M3 is currently all over Harry and me, but Harry can actually outturn him. A lot of people don't know that. The Chinese Zero can actually outturn the A6M3. And there you can see me using the Shrug, and I actually did score a hit with the Shrug. And obviously I'm trying to get the gunner onto target, but obviously the gunner does have limited reverse and coverage. He's not he's not got a lot of space to fire back there, that's for definite. But Harry takes him out, and obviously I'm already on a kill with the 111, so we then decided to keep an eye on the enemy team and just work them over from here. So obviously here comes a A6M2, which obviously I started firing a Shrug at, and surprisingly he actually backed off because of that. Even though you may not be in a position to actually fire your main guns on them, the Shrug can still scare them off. Because obviously it's two 20mm cannons coming out at an odd angle on your plane. It's not exactly going to be something that you want to be... It's not exactly something you want to receive in a Zero. And I actually do score a pretty good hit to that guy's right wing then. You obviously heard the notification for the damage. If I just show here, suffers damage of right wing. And obviously he's pretty pissed off that I did that, but if there's one thing that Nick can do, which is the Sings Allied recording name by the way, if anyone wishes to know that, it is Nick. It surprisingly dives actually pretty well, and well, there goes Harry taking out the A6M2 right there, and he's actually going to start moaning at me because he thinks I'm a Ki-44 and not a Ki-45. Luckily though, I did just enough damage to get the kill, or one kill assist I should say, on that guy. This aircraft is certainly not a fighter that I would recommend going in and turning and burning, but the one thing it can do is it rolls rather well, the rudder's quite responsive, and just in general, it can turn pretty decent for a twin engine heavy fighter. I've got to give it that. It is quite maneuverable. You just ain't going to be beating the opposition that you're obviously going to be facing most of the time. But against a 110 with only one engine, it's actually pretty easy pickings. Some may call that a kill steal. It wasn't. The fire had already gone out from earlier, which you may have seen. The aircraft was still able to fight back. Obviously I didn't know if the gunner was still alive. Harry wasn't bothered by it anyway, we just wanted to remove the most important target. All that remains now is a BF-109E4, a Ki-45 Hay, and a Ki-49, who we're going to find in a couple of moments. So at this point, you can hear me throttling back. This is one flaw with the Ki-45, it does overheat its engines quite a bit. And that's one of its main flaws. It really doesn't like to overheat that much. And the slightest bit of oil damage as well is actually rather detrimental to this aircraft. The aircraft itself just doesn't take damage well. And neither does the Zero. The Zero takes arguably less damage. Now one question I'm probably going to get in the comments, so I'll answer it here, is can this thing fly on one engine? Yes, but barely. Just ask Harry, he'll tell you on Advance to the Rhine. It was Battle for the Rhine or something like that, the map is called, and I had to limp this thing home using mech, because obviously I used the multifunction menu, and I had to limp this thing back with one engine, and it was surprisingly difficult. If I hadn't feathered the prop, which you can now do, I probably wouldn't have got this aircraft back to the base, I'll be brutally honest. So at this point, this BF-109 is currently being engaged by most of our team, and as you can imagine, the team wants to remove him because he's right next to our airfield. And here comes the spark again, and at this point my ping was at about 40. To put it in perspective, I have one 37mm shot left, and I just have the 20 primarily left. Obviously, it's quite hard to see it there, but that blew off something, and, well, that's the thing, like, I got a crit, I got the assist, and Harry gets the kill, but it's the fact that I put many shots onto target with the single Ho 3, and it just didn't kill. You're going to find out a lot. The aircraft does struggle sometimes with its weight of shot, and obviously that single 20mm does not help it in the slightest. It would be nice if we could have two 20mm Ho's, 5 or Ho 3s in the lower section, a bit like a Ki-102, and if we could move the Shark guns to the wing routes or something, that would be nice, but unfortunately this is unlikely to occur because, well, Ki-45s are not exactly the most well-armed aircraft. They've got decent armament, but they're certainly not the best in terms of versatile guns, because these things were primarily meant for bomber hunting. They were obsoleted by fighters such as P-40s, F-4Fs, etc. So at this point it's down to one enemy bomber left who has only bombed boats. And me and Harry was rather confused because we'd never heard boats being on this map. We eventually figured it out, and the boats are somewhere down there, and we were just confused because we didn't actually know what boats meant. But what gave this guy away was the fact that he bombed a base. Now luckily I was paying attention to the map, so I knew exactly where he roughly was, and then he started attacking vehicles, which, again, there's only one spot where vehicles appear on this map for the Allied forces, and it's just over here. So me and Harry, obviously, we're making our way over there. Harry's actually on 4 kills, and he was like, I'm not bothered, like, if you want it, you can have it. If I get the ace, I get the ace. We wasn't really fussed about who got the kill. And, like, I said to him, if you want the ace, mate, go ahead, I'm not going to stop you. But he was like, I'll take a shot at it, but if I don't get it, finish it off. And, well, this is where the teamwork comes in. I actually recommend playing this aircraft in a squad. I mean, I had an A6M2 watching my back most of the time, so it's handy. And well, when you've got a 37mm that needs to be used against a bomber, yeah, this thing's actually rather good at dealing with Japanese bombers, because, well, they don't take damage very well, and a 37mm flying at them is the last thing they want to have in their rearview mirror. And as you can tell, that's the kind of damage you get. So, do I think this aircraft is worth it? Yes. But wait for a fucking discount first. I'm not even joking. The best time to pick up this aircraft is either when it's in war bonds, because I got it via war bonds, obviously, or wait for the 50% discount in November. That is really the best time to pick up this aircraft. Well, those are the best times, because overall, if you're going to spend your money on a Chinese premium, you're going to want to get the Zero. But if you're looking for something a bit more laid back, this aircraft's got you covered. But anyway, I'm going to let you guys off. I hope you enjoyed today's review on the Ki-45 High/Tie, and I will see you all on the next one.